Ahoy everyone, and here it goes, the second match of the second round. It will be the Restless Dead of House Velmorn against the Night Wolves of Middenheim, and the third party will be the Cruel Boys, Ork Mob. It's a turn for House Velmorn, and they don't have any territories under their belt, so they will venture into the cemetery and hopefully claim their first territory there. If the undead win, they can hire some henchmen for reduced cost, and if the other warband win, the warband will be immune to fear and terror has been treated as fear. But I don't know anything that causes terror in Mordheim, so I don't know what's meant by this wording. Anyway, here are the warbands. Starting with House Velmorn, they are led by a Lich, Lady Ursula Velmorn. She has 7 wounds, 2 attacks, heavy armor, and the skill Death Speaker, so she will summon D3 zombies at the start of the game, knows the spell Life Speaker and Spell of Doom. Accompanied by her Necromancer Gilbert, he knows Spell of Doom as well, and with Dark Ritual gets a plus D3 for the entire battle. And then there's the King, Morlock Velmorn. He has 2 swords, heavy armor and a lucky charm, Frenzy and Step Aside. And all his sons, starting with Sir Jedran, Strength 4, Resilient, 2 wounds, Sword and Shield. His firstborn, Martial Folk, Sword and Shield, Weapon Skill 5. Then the White Hero, Goliath, Sword and Axe, Toughness 4, Weapon Skill 3. And the 2 regular whites, Helmar with Axe and Shield, and Tyne with a Halberd, he has 2 attacks. And last but not least, a single zombie. And they are accompanied by the 3 Ogre, who joined them last battle, Big Willy. The forces of Middenheim are led by Gunnar Wolfsbrecher, a captain with Halberd, heavy armor, wolf cloak, strike to injure and scars. He has strength and toughness 4. Next to him is the champion Ylva Feuerskind, 2 axes and wolf cloak, Step Aside. And on the other side, the marksman hero, Red Hood, crossbow and quickshot. And on the podium on the far left and the far right are the 2 youngbloods, one with spear, Step Aside, mighty blow, and the other one with hammer and shield, +1 leadership. Then are some henchmen, 2 swordsmen with Morningstar and extra attack, 2 double-handed weapon with extra weapon skill, single swordsman with sword and shield and initiative bonus, then 1 marksman with +1 ballistic skill and the other marksman with +1 strength. Completing them is a pit fighter, Tatjana, with 3 attacks as of now, and the elf ranger, Ormel. And the Cruel Boys are led by Vadrek the Cruel. He's a boss with Morningstar, Axe, light armor and a helmet. He's well armed and has toughness 5. Flanking him are the 2 boy heroes with crossbow and quickshot both. The one on the left is also a trick shooter. And on the stairs is the first biggin, Zoggit Ripper, 2 swords, light armor and helmet, 2 attacks. And on the right, the second biggin, double-handed weapon, strongman and resilient. And on the left, the shaman Ulkor with the spear. He knows Fist of Gork, is fearsome and resilient. The henchmen, 1 boy with 2 axes, 2 boys with spears, all 3 have +1 weapon skill. A new boy with sword and shield, single goblin with sword and shield, and 4 goblins with short bow, they have ballistic skill 4. The mission today will be a big weirdstone hunt, but first let's skip over deployment. First of all, we have the Night Wolves of Middenheim splitting into 2 groups. On the other side of the big plaza, we have the Restless Dead, also splitting into 2 groups to be able to engage both enemies. And the Orks are for now clustered into this big group. And scattered over the terrain are some weird stones. First one is here in the tiny yellow house. One on the balcony. Over here in the corner. First 3, then the other 3. One is on the 2nd floor and over on this part of the balcony, and the last one just tucked in there. That's it for the setup. Let's get straight into action and start with the move-in phase for the Restless Dead, who have the first turn. Being one of the only models who is able to run, Gilbert advances forth to claim the first Birdstone for his team. And behind him, the Martial Folk and Tyne. But let's not forget to roll for his Dark Ritual, and he gets 6 indeed. So he will be a +3 for his entire battle for trying to cast Spell of Doom. On the other side, Big Willy Jedran and the zombie with Goliath are advancing on this hand side, getting ready to engage the Night Wolves. And over on the other side, the Lich, accompanied by the King and the other heroes, are also advancing down the alley. So that's it for the Restless Dead. Let's head over to the Night Wolves. Surprise! The Night Wolves are advancing through the gate. Ilva leads the charge with the henchmen. On top of the building, the Red Hood, Hannah and Ormel getting into position. Gunnar advances forth and claims the first Wordstone, and behind him his lads are storming into the multi-story building, getting ready to engage the Orks, who will now have the first turn and movement phase. And as for now, the Orks are climbed up, so let's start with the animosity rolls. And starting on the right for the Goblin, he fails. And let's see what he's got. Just a 3, so he's been bullied and does nothing for the turn. Spear Orc gets a 2, Goblin in front, a 3, Sword Orc, also a failure, 5, he stands still as well. And the 2 Arrow Goblins passes, Spear Boy passes, Double-handed Axe passes, or 2 axes, to be precisely, and the last Goblin with a 6 passes as well. Then they moved up, splitting also into 2 groups, repeating myself, but yeah, trying to await the enemy, get into a good position, maybe to shoot some arrows and some bolts for next turn when the Middenheimers advancing through the building or the undead come around. That's it for the first turn for everybody. Let's head into the second turn, starting with the Restless Dead. Gilbert advanced as well and claiming the first Wordstone. He is going into hiding, and for the purpose of this game he will be hidden from the ones where it's logical from. Therefore the Night Wolves will have obviously clear sight on Big Willy and Gilbert as well, but from the perspective of the Orcs, Gilbert can just duck and get into cover to not being shot from the Orcs, who, as you can see, have an obstructed view. Therefore, yeah, that's how hiding will work in this 3-player game. And then continuing with the movement of the undead. As you can see, Gilbert and Big Willy going forth. Behind them is Tyne and Martial Folk, who are sort of hiding as well. Then Sir Jetran is getting ready to climb the ladder and pick up the Weirdstone. On the other side, the King with his entourage trying to stick at the wall. Tempting to go around on the left hand side, but they are slow and cannot run, so they are sticking to the middle. As for the Lich, who advances through the left alleyway, trying to cast Spell of Doom, needing a 9 and a 7 is not enough, so that's it for the undead. Let's head over to the Night Wolves. No charges to make, just swarming into the central plaza, spreading out and getting ready to attack Big Willy and fire some volleys off first from the crossbow and the regular bows. They have a perfect line of sight on either the Orcs or the undead. In the big building, the Night Wolves just entered at the bottom of the stairs, getting ready to run up and chop some Orcs, whereas they are just out of sight for the ranged Orc units as of now. Heading into the shooting phase, Millie makes the first shot at Big Willy. She's on the floor, so she has to shoot at the first target. Hits on a 6, strength 3, woo! Wounds on a 6 with a critical hit as well. And the 2 just ignores armor save, so Big Willy is 1 wound down. Going over to Hannah, she has +1 ballistic skill, shooting on Gilbert, but misses on a 2. Then Ormel shooting on Ogre, the Orc hero, hitting on a 4, strength 3, toughness 4, so needing a 5 to wound, fails to wound. And the last one is the Red Hood, shooting 2 times at Big Willy, who's not in cover. 2 shots, needing force, he's just inside half range, but 2 misses. For the Orcs, starting again with the animosity rolls. The 2 who stood behind last turn pass both. Spearboy and Gaudi the Goblin both pass. Then for the first Goblin, Spear Orc. Second Goblin, the Orc with 2 axes. And the Goblin passes, but the Orc on the right side fails and just standing still. Then going over to movement phase, Hakon getting ready into position for the next turn to have a clear shot onto the Middenheimers. Unless they advance into combat. The Goblins getting up on the balcony. Vadrek just getting ready to engage Gilbert. And Gaudin sneaking towards the edge of the house. Agrim advancing into the building and the rest awaiting the Lich. Shooting phase, Uglud firing back into Ormel. He's a trick shooter, so he ignores cover. 2 shots and 2 sixes, means 2 hits. Strength 4, toughness 3. 2 misses as well. And yeah, continuing with the Goblin who shoots at the Lich, missing on a 2. Then the 2 Goblins who advanced, firing both at Gilbert. Both did move and it's over half range, so they needed 6s, so 2 misses. That's it for the Orcs, so on to House Melmore. Shuffling around again, Jedran advancing up the ladder, and his retinue getting into position down on the first floor. He's well in cover, so no one can shoot at him. On the balcony, sort of, Big Willy stepping into position to intercept Vadrek if he wants to charge Gilbert. And Gilbert stepping back, so he's now in cover for shooting purposes. Tyne and Marshal Falk staying back. The entourage of Lady Ursula just slogging along, and Lady Ursula going into the corner, trying to cast Spell of Doom again, but a 7 is not enough. Heading over to Gilbert, who tries the same on Vadrek. Remember, he's getting +3, so 6 + 3 is a 9. Therefore, Vadrek needs to pass his strength test, and a 6 is a failure. And so he has to roll on the injury table and gets slain immediately. Getting past the toughness and the armor. That's nice. And the Nightwolf just witnessed a glimpse of how quick it could be, but they are nonetheless advancing, getting ready to attack, and getting into cover as well. So Hagen wanted to climb up, getting the Wildstone, but failed his initiative check, and now surely eats a volley of Hakon. But first, they are shooting themselves. Ormel taking the first shot at Uglud again, hitting on a 6, but fails the wound on 1. Continuing with Miri, she wants to try and shoot Sir Jedran, failing. Then Hannah, the second marksman, she wants to shoot at Big Willy, because they are roughly at the same height. Therefore, she has to shoot at the first target, so cannot shoot at Gilbert, has to shoot at the Ogre. Misses on 1 nonetheless. And also the Red Hood, 2 and 1 again, miss. Orks, 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 Orks. Passing the animosity test. Swordboy and Spearboy, he fails. And a 2, he just standing still. Continuing with Gaudin, who was a 1 and wants to show the lads, so he advances forth onto the undead. First goblin, the Orc boy, and then the 2 goblins they pass all together. The Orks already forgot the animosity and trying to charge, and the Spear Boy passes as well. But the Sword Boy is just out of reach, so the Spear Boy attacking alone, just pretend he rolled a 6 on the animosity table and has to charge. Then it's all good. Ogre advancing, getting to pick up the Weirdstone next turn. The archers getting into position, whereas the Orc with the 2 axes acting as possible interceptor. Down there is a sneaky Night Wolf. And onto the big house, Zock and the Spear Boy attacked, reckon he can just chop up down the wall. And getting into the shooting phase, Hakon just firing 2 volleys straight into Hagen, hitting 2 times, strength 4, needing 3s to wound. First one wounds, second one is a critical hit, and a critical hit is a ricochet. But first, the injury rolls for Hagen. And a double 5 kills him twice. Then the ricochet into Miko. She's just in range, therefore being hit by strength 4. She's wounded, and a 5 takes her out as well. She has no cover against the range attack. Well, I don't know how he did it, but that's the rules. So he kills 2 Youngbloods in one fell swoop, strike, shoot, shot, I don't know. Continuing with the goblins, all shooting at Big Willy. Shooting all together and all 3 failing. Well, then Fists of Gorg, not enough. The last to shoot is Ruglut. He's shooting 2 times at Big Willy, hitting 2 times. Strength 4, toughness 4, so a 4+ to wound. 1 wound, strength 4, no armor save, so Big Willy is down to 1 wound. Combat phase, starting with the Spear Boy against the Lich. He hits on a 5 and wounds on a 6. It's a critical wound, and a 4 means that the Lich cannot strike back, but she has still her armor save on a 5+ with heavy armor makes it. In the big house, Spear Boy against the double-handed henchman misses, so henchman can strike back. He misses as well. Well, it's an even battle. Zock against Tatiana, 2 attacks and additional sword means 3 hits. Then strength 3, toughness 4, needing a 5 to wound. Well, 2 wounds, 1 critical. Critical means 2 wounds as well, and no armor saves allowed. Rolling on the injury table, 5 is already dead. The undead now close enough to charge in themselves, so there will be fear checks to pass. First, Ilva with a 7, she makes it. The henchman beside her with a 5 passes it as well. Swordsman on a 9, he fails. Gunnar, the captain, just has leadership of 8. Gaudin being attacked by 2 zombies. He will has to pass a fear check. It's a 4 and it is a 6 down there. So therefore with 10 failed. Moving along, Ursula getting support by the king. He charged the Spear Boy, and the Spear Boy fails his morale with an 8. So he's frightened as well. Then Big Willy wants to charge over the bridge into Ruglut, but the Orc with the 2 axes want to try to intercept, and I reckon he has to pass a fear check as well to intercept. And with 3 he passes and can. Continuing with magic, trying to cast Spell of Doom again. 7, not enough. And Gilbert trying to cast Spell of Doom as well. He rolls a 5, plus 3 is just 8, not enough this time. Well then, going around close combat, a zombie striking against Ilva, he fails. Ilva can strike back 2 attacks with the axe, hitting 2 times. She has strength 4, being a champion of Middenheim, so wounding once. And with 6, the zombie's been taken out immediately. Then Goliath, taking the henchman with the Morningstar, he has 2 attacks, sword and axe, and both hit. so just needing to wound and fails with both. Then the henchman, 2 attacks, Morning Star hitting back, hitting once on a 5. No parry by Goliath, and then strength 4 on the charge with a 1 is not enough to wound. Tyne against the frightened swordsman, 2 attacks and fails on a double 1. Therefore the swordsman can strike back, needing a 6 to hit, fails on a 2. Then the 2 zombies against Gaudin. They attack first, 1 hitting on a 5. Gaudin cannot parry, though fails to wound, and the second one fails to hit on the 2 as well. Gaudin attacking back, hitting on a 6, and wounding on a 6 with a critical wound. And a 4, sword attack, 2 wounds instead of 1, and 2 3s, knocked down, as the undead are immune to pain. Continuing with the Mad King, he charged, 3 attacks, 2 hits, and needing a 6 to wound is good enough. Well, critical wound, 2 wounds, and +2 to injury, 5 is a kill. Then Big Willy has a 2-handed weapon, so the Orc can strike first and maybe take him out. So 2 attacks, hitting on 1-4, strength 3, needing a 5 to wound, 2 is not enough. So Big Willy can strike back, 2 attacks, and 2 misses. Well, that's it for the undead Night Wolves. The Night Wolves want to charge and support, therefore some fear checks. Ilva misses with a 9. No attack for her. Gunnar himself causes fear, so the other henchman misses on a 12. Well, that's it. Besides the charges, Isolde wants to climb up, but fails the initiative check on a 6. Then, going straight into the shooting phase, Millie shooting again at Sir Jedran. And a 4 is a miss because he's in cover. Then, Ormel trying again. This time shooting at some goblins. Hitting on a 6. Strength 3 with a 4 is good enough. Therefore, injury table, goblins knocked down. And Hannah trying to shoot at Gilbert this time. She hits on a 6. And wounding on a 6. It's a critical hit. Which is a ricochet. But there's no one close by. And a 1, Gilbert is knocked down. And last but not least, Red Hood will shoot on Gilbert as well. 3 and a 1, getting better this time. On to close combat, henchman striking first, 2 attacks. Hitting once on a 5, Goliath can parry, misses on 1. And then strength 3, 1 is not enough, so Goliath can attack back. 2 attacks, sword and axe. Both hit. Then strength 3, toughness 3, 1 and 2, no wounds for him. Then going over, Gunnar misses on a 1. Then Swordsman hits on a 4. But 3 is not enough to wound. Then Tyne can strike back. He will split his attacks. First one against the swordsman, hits on a 6, no parry for him. Then with strength 4 is enough to wound him. And he stuns him. And the last attack against Gunnar misses on a 1. Then in the house, Spear Orc strikes first, misses, and the 2-handed weapon henchman hits on a 6, but fails to wound on a 1. That's it, on to the Orcs' turn. As always, animosity first, so the 1 goblin who isn't knocked down, the other goblin, both pass. 3rd goblin and the henchman, both passing as well. Alright, the Orcs getting into position to brace for the charge of the undead. Agrim claiming the Weirdstone, and all the goblins advancing on the balcony to get into position to shoot. Hakon cleared the house, so he turns himself to shoot some bolts against the dead. And yeah, let's go into shooting phase. Hakon firing first, 2 shots, 2 misses. Good start for him. The goblin on the ground, misses as well. And Fists of Gork, dealing an 8. It's a 7 again. Looking pretty consistent. 3 goblins. First one fails. Second ones, they both hit because they stood still and have no minus. Strength 3, toughness 3, that's enough. And the swordsman has a shield. On a 6+, he can parry or deflect the arrow. No, and he's stunned. And Ogre, firing 2 times at Gilbert, hitting once because he's in cover. And strength 4, it's not enough to wound. Starting the melee against Big Willy, the X-Man has 2 attacks and hitting 2 times. He has higher weapon skill, but strength 3, needing a 5 to wound. It's a combined 5, but it's not enough, so Big Willy can strike back, hitting 1 time. Strength 6, needing a 2, that's enough. And with a 5, he takes him out. And in the big house, Zock attacked. He has 3 attacks, hitting 2 times. And wounding 1 time as well. For rolling on the injury table, it's a 5, instant kill. And Gaudin gets the 2 zombies. He misses on 1, so the zombie can strike back. He hits on a 5. Gaudin can parry. And he parries on a 6. Nice. On to the Restless Dead's turn. Turn 5 for the undead. Sajadran getting out of the building, and Martial Folk attacking the 2 stunned Middenheimers, though he has just 1 attack and can only kill 1. Then Big Willy attacked Ruglut, so he will have to pass a leadership test, and on a 7 he passes. Then on the other side, the lot attacked the boys, so some fear checks to make, and yeah, the sword boy failed, and the shaman causes fear himself, so he's good. Magic phase. The Lich phase to cast Spell of Doom, and Gilbert wants to try and kill a goblin with Spell of Doom as well. That's a 7, plus 3 is 10, that's enough, and the strength test is failed. And the injury table 5, another kill for Gilbert. On to close combat, Big Willy attacking Ruglut, he can strike first, hitting on a 6, and not enough to kill the Ogre. Then he can strike with his 2-handed weapon and fails 2 times. Lady Ursula getting ready to strike against the Shaman Ulkor, by her side the King Morlock Velmorn. Let's see how they do. Ulkor has a spear, so the Shaman strikes first and misses on a 1. Therefore, getting over to Helmar, he hits on a 6 and wounds on a 6. It's a critical wound. And a 5 is 2 wounds and plus 2 to the injury roll. 2 and a 3 becomes a 5. One of the greenskins brought down already. Then the Mad King against the Shaman. He has 3 attacks, hitting 2 times. Strength 4, toughness 4, but he is resilient, so he needs a 5 and gets a 6. So a critical and a 5 again. Therefore 2 wounds plus 2 to the injury roll and 6 becomes an 8 and kills the Shaman. Well, the Royals have made quick work of the greenskins. Just a little goblin left. And Gaudin is also left on his own against 2 zombies again. He misses his strike, so the zombies can strike back, making both of them at the same time. 1 hits, and it's a critical hit. And a 3. 2 wounds instead of 1, and both armor saves fail. Therefore, the injury roll, he's been stunned. And against Middenheim, Martial Folk just killing the stunned swordsman. Then Tyne against Gunnar. Gunnar can strike first. He misses on a 2. Well, then Tyne strikes back. 2 attacks, hitting 1 time on a 5. But fails the wound on a 1. Impressive. And Goliath against the swordsman. Swordsman striking first, hitting 2 times, and then strength 3, toughness 4, not enough to wound. Goliath can strike back. He hits 2 times, And 1 wound with the axe, so passing through the shield straight to the injury roll. 3 is stunned. Well, it doesn't look that good for the Middenheimers. With how morale is going, there are some further casualties to be expected. And over at the Great House, they already lost a bunch of their men. Therefore, clinging on to the 1 weirdstone they gathered so far, the Middenheimers will retreat, in fact. And with them being gone, the Orks are next in turn order, and it's not looking good for them either. The undead are amidst the ranks and already in melee with their archers and crossbowmen, so they will retreat as well and hopefully don't lose any more heroes, so the undead did win. Well, all in all, it went pretty good for the Restless Dead, and now they claimed their first territory. Furthermore, no casualties after the battle. And in the exploration phase they found 5 weirdstone, plus 2 weirdstone from the scenario and another weirdstone from the cemetery itself, which left them with 8 weirdstone in total, 7 of which they sold for 120 gold. And with this gold they paid Big Willy to stick around for another match and bought 3 additional skeletons with sword and buckler. Then for the experience point gathered, the king leveled up weapon skill, and his firstborn, Martial Folk, got a new skill, Step Aside. Gilbert learned a skill as well. He now has Death Speaker too, so the Restless Dead will summon 2d3 zombies at the beginning of each match. Seems very helpful. So Jedran got +1 initiative and acquired a lucky charm. Goliath got a suit of heavy armor. And the 2 whites, Helmar and Tyne, both leveled up strength. As for the Nightwolves, it didn't went that well. Miko got hit pretty hard on the head and lost all her experience so far, but the other ones survived unharmed. As for Weirdstone, they've found 3 in total, sold them and paid the upkeep for the hired swords, and just 1 level up, Ormel learned a new skill and is now a Seeker. For the Orks, it was a mixed bag. 1 goblin died and Vadrek suffered a deep wound, so he misses out the next 3 matches actually. But they found 5 weirdstone, sold them for 70 gold, and rehired the goblin, as well as 2 lucky charms for the Biggins, Agrim and Zok Gidripper. As for the experience, no henchmen did level up. For the heroes, Vadrek got +1 initiative, Zok +1 toughness, Hakon +1 ballistic skill, and Rukulut an additional attack, so well, good for defense I guess. And there you have it, first territory for House Velmorn. Let's see further down the campaign how far they can climb up in the ranking. There's still a good amount of matches to go, and as for now, thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Until then, have a good one.